Law firms are easier businesses to run than all of those kinds of business. The margins of a law firm are significantly higher than in any of those other kinds of businesses. The working capital requirements to start and run a law firm and keep it going are significantly lower than in any of those other kinds of businesses. We've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars consulting with security experts on AI. I fear what I see happening to the legal industry because lawyers are turning themselves into mindless commodities because of AI. I also profit from it greatly because the 500 law firms that I manage, they keep picking up more and more market share and more momentum as other lawyers stupefy themselves. The business model of a law firm is so profitable and so simple that you can run it very, very badly and still make a very good living. And so lawyers all over the country are running their law firms very, very badly, still making a really good living, and they think they're doing just fine. One of the painful lessons that success taught me is that reality is going to break your heart. So one of my core values as a person, which is also one of the core values of our business, is pursuit of truth, where truth equals reality. All things that are true are only true because they're real. All things that are real are by definition true. If it's not real, it's not true. There's a whole world of owners of small law firms who take off for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only. And while they're gone, the marketing, the sales, the production, the people, the physical plant, the financial controls, every part of the business keeps going and growing for them. And they've got real freedom. The problem is most law firm owners don't even know that's possible.
Welcome back to Beyond the Briefcase with Matt Goodwin. I have a really special guest today. Most lawyers start their firms chasing freedom of schedule, freedom of income, freedom of control over their lives, and whatever else you can come up with. But somewhere along the way, as my guest will share with you, is that many end up building businesses that consume them instead. And today's guest has spent years studying why that happens. Arjan Robbins is an entrepreneur. He's an attorney. He's a best-selling author, and he's the founder of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And that's an organization that has helped thousands of attorneys rethink not just profitability, but leadership, systems, growth, and the psychology behind running a business. He's also the founder of Profit First for Lawyers. But what makes his work especially interesting is that it goes much deeper than finances. He talks openly about burnout, founder dependence, control, identity, and the emotional stages that lawyers move through as they grow. And these are similar themes to what we've explored with other guests. So I really think you'll enjoy today's conversation. But it's about much more than building a successful law firm. It's about handling and building a life that your business actually supports instead of destroys. So Arjan, welcome to Beyond the Briefcase.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm happy to be here.
It's also nice to have a fellow Floridian on the call with me. How long have you lived in Florida for?
I was born in Miami Beach. I grew up in South Florida, Coconut Grove, most of my life. Went away for college and law school and came back and then I left for the Florida Bar. I worked in Tallahassee for 4 years at the Florida Bar's Lomas program. But most of my life I've been down here, Coconut Grove.
I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, so I can relate with you, even though we used to call Miami another country. But it's all started to blend together these days between Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade, which we call the Treasure Coast. And so let's start. I want to talk first about this lawyer trap, right? And this can apply to other businesses as well, but it's why lawyers start their firms in the first place, right? They have this illusion of control. There's this busy versus truly productive stage. What stage do most lawyers get stuck in from your experience?
Can I go back a little bit?
Yes, please do.
All right, because I was a small law firm management advisor with the Florida Bar's Law Office Management Assistance Service from August 1999 until 2001 or 2002. I was there for 4 years. And I used to get at least one call every week from a lawyer who wanted to start their own law firm. And no one has talked more lawyers out of starting their own law firm than me. And I feel like if I can talk you out of starting your own law firm, then I'm doing you a great service, and I'm doing your family a great service, and I'm doing your future self a great service if I can talk you out of starting your own law firm. So I don't think you're probably going to ask anyone the question of why do lawyers start their own law firm for real, and they've spoken to more hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lawyers about this than me. So this is what I've heard over and over and over and over and over again. It basically comes down to four categories. One, they think they can make more money. Two, they think that they can have more control over their time. Three, they think they can have more control over their cases or clients. Or four, they just don't want to answer to someone else. These are the four main reasons why lawyers start a law firm. And unfortunately, they start a law firm with no marketing plan, with no sales plan, with no processes or systems or procedures for how the work's going to get done, with no real idea of an org chart or how to hire, train, manage, and make a profit with staff, with no real financial controls in place. They think they're just going to buy some software and nowadays AI will figure the rest out for me, and throw a bunch of money in a marketing vendor, and then they fall on their face and they wind up struggling. And to your point, their law firm becomes a prison. Or they actually get it right, sometimes by planning, sometimes by luck, and the firm starts to grow, and then it becomes a different kind of a prison, the golden handcuffs kind. So you wanted to know what stage of growth do they get stuck in? That was your question, right?
Yes.
All right. All of the stages. There's seven main stages that law firms go through on the journey from startup to let's call it $10 million and above.
Okay.
Right. 0 to 250 is stage one. 250 to around 500 is stage two. 500 to around $1.5 million is stage three. About $1.5 million to $3 million is stage four. Around $3 million to $5 million is stage five. $5 million to $10 million is stage six. And then over 10 million is a whole different conversation because now it has become mid-sized law firm territory. A
Well,
$10 million law firm that uh, has a full-time CEO, a full-time COO, a full-time CFO, a full-time CMO, a $10 million law firm where the owners can project profits to within about 5%, about a year in advance, and the owners can be away from the firm for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only. That $10 million law firm, congratulations, is the brand new, smallest, teeniest, tiniest little freshman on campus because midsize goes up to about $100 million in revenue. But lawyers get stuck in the first stage of growth for very predictable reasons that you can do something about. They get stuck in the second stage of growth for very predictable reasons that you could do something about. They get stuck in this third stage, the fourth stage. In
right.
each of the stages, they get stuck.
It's
And
predictable.
it's very predictable why they're going to get stuck. And the causes for getting stuck and the causes for getting unstuck are all very well known to people who have been studying the business of how to manage a law firm.
Well, so Loma, I'm familiar with it, and then it was rebranded as the Practice Resource Institute, and then it was rebranded now as Legal Fuel.
Look at that. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. 1979. It's 1979. Sam Smith, the president of Florida Bar, he realizes that more than 54% of the bar grievances being filed against lawyers in the state of Florida and nationally back in the 1970s, late 1970s, started off as a law firm management problem. He went out and he got funding by the Florida Bar Board of Governors and said, we got to stop prosecuting lawyers for avoidable law firm management problems.
Wow.
And they recruited J.R. Phelps. And J.R. Phelps was a professional legal administrator running mid-sized law firms for the past 15 years. They recruited him to Florida, and he created the first law office management assistance service in the world.
I didn't
There's a
realize it
running
dated
debate
that far back to the 80s, to
there's
the
a
late
running
70s.
debate between us and Toronto whether we were first or they were first, and we were first. They came second. Um, and the Florida Bar Law Office Management Assistance Service was created in 1980 for the express purpose of helping lawyers avoid making the law firm management problem mistakes that everyone who understands the business of running a law firm knows leads to attorney burnout, unprofitable law firms, bar grievances, and malpractice. And you know what? The stats haven't changed in 40 years, and the problems are still the same as they were ever before, because no one teaches us in law school about the business of how to run a law firm. And so you get all these really brilliant lawyers, hardworking, brilliant, well-intentioned, and they start a business they know nothing about. They don't have any idea how to do real marketing. No one taught them how to actually construct an effective intake mechanism. No one taught them how to sit down and have a profitable, ethical, professional, reliable, dependable, profitable conversation with a prospective employee to consistently convert them into a paying client. No one taught them how, when, where, why to hire, onboard, train, manage, lead employees. No one taught them how to document processes and systems and procedures. No one even taught them the difference between processes and policies and systems and procedures, which are very different things.
Yes, they are.
No one taught them financial controls, how to make a 12-month forward-looking budget, what a budget variance report is, what a balance sheet is, what a cash flow report is.
Well,
No
they
one
say
taught them.
they say you don't need math in law school. That's why I became a lawyer, right? I'm not saying that personally, but that's what you hear a lot. That's why I went to law school, because I didn't like math. But you're absolutely right. I experienced in my first 5 years with all of those things, but I've still experienced portions of that in my second 5 years. And I know that you can apply these issues to other professionals as well.
Matthew, let me ask you a question. And I know it's your show, but I'm putting you on the spot. Is that all right?
Yes.
Are you a shitty lawyer?
No.
Are you a really good lawyer?
Yes.
All right. So if you're a really good lawyer, you became a really good lawyer because you practiced, you studied, you devoted your attention to being a great lawyer. Am I right?
That's right.
All right. Are you a shitty husband? Are you a shitty father?
That's a harder you might have to ask somebody else that question. My kids and wife.
Probably you're not. Listen, listen. Shitty fathers and shitty husbands don't wonder whether they're a shitty husband or a shitty father,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Good fathers and good husbands, we worry about all the things we could be doing that we're not doing.
Fair.
So I
That's
think you're
true.
probably a pretty good guy,
Yeah.
right? So you're a pretty good husband, you're a pretty good father, and you're a really good lawyer. Where did you find the time to learn about the business of running a law firm?
On the job training.
Find the time. Sorry?
On the job training.
No, that's bullshit.
Trial and
That is
error.
complete bullshit. That is complete bullshit. And that is the story that keeps lawyers trapped in their business.
Right.
Because most people who run a law firm, they don't even know what they don't know that they don't know about how much better it could be.
Right. That's fair. Well, I've talked to lawyers that ran solo practices years ago, and one of them told me that he was a technician, right? And he wanted to partner with me because he was more senior than me, and I had a different managerial I had multiple employees, but he was 20, 30 years older, and he just so there's the technician versus the owner mindset that I've seen as a theme with attorneys that leave a firm because they're really good, go out on their own, and then within a couple of years, you hear them going right back to another firm setting. And those might have been the type of lawyers that you talk out of starting their own firm. So let me ask you this. What's the shortest amount of time you've talked somebody out of starting their own firm?
It takes less than 3 minutes.
And what's one threshold question you might ask them that really makes them reconsider?
Do you want to spend more than half of your time running the business side of the law firm?
It's a good one.
No, I love practicing law. Well, then owning your own law firm is not for you. Question number 2. Why do you want to start your own law firm? Oh, I think I can make more money. Really? How much are you making now? Let's just say for purposes of this conversation that right now I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm just going to make a simple number for math purposes.
Yep.
Okay. Great. You're making $100,000 a year. Okay. So that means it's costing them between $120,000 and $150,000 to have you there. Really? How is that possible? They're only paying me $100,000. Yeah, but you forgot about employer taxes and benefits and the cost of supporting you to be there. So it's costing $150,000 to have you there. Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Okay, let me ask you a question. How much revenue are you generating for the firm? How much are you originating? And how much are you producing? Well, that's exactly why I want to start my own law firm. I want to start my own law firm because I'm generating $250,000. I'm generating $300,000. I'm generating $400,000. I'm generating $450,000 for this firm. And I could be putting that in my own pocket. And I say, really? Rent, insurance, utilities, bar dues, marketing expenses, marketing expenses, marketing expenses, support staff, support staff, support staff, benefits, benefits, benefits. A well-run law firm will produce about a 1/3 total owner benefit for the owner. So a $300,000 law firm should produce about $100,000 in total owner benefits for the owner. $1 million law firm should produce around $300,000 to $350,000 in total owner benefits for the law firm. So to take your $150,000 out of that firm, you have to produce $450,000. A third goes to the profit of the owner, a third goes to the cost of having you there, and a third goes to you. And they're like, oh, I didn't think of that before. I'm like, well, yeah, it's not your fault. No one ever sat down and taught you
That's right.
the business of running a law firm. What kind of lawyer would you be if no one ever sat down and taught you how to do the kind of law that you focus on? You'd be a really shitty lawyer, right? And maybe if you're surrounded by other really shitty lawyers who are all struggling and suffering and working too many hours and not getting great, amazing results, maybe if that was like the company you kept, you'd think that's normal. But it doesn't have to be normal. There's a whole world of owners of small law firms who take off for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only. And while they're gone, the marketing, the sales, the production, the people, the physical plant, the financial controls, every part of the business keeps going and growing for them. And they've got real freedom.
Yeah.
The problem is most law firm owners don't even know that's possible.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit before this about strategic coach and my involvement in it. And one of the main themes is to have a self-managing company. And it's obviously easier said than done, but what you've just described is very much like that, where the profit center continues to run when the owner is not present. It's managing itself. But in order to have that, you have to have all these other pieces in line, and including the systems and processes, the people, the people who are trained, the marketing. It all has to be on autopilot with the money and the revenue to support its continued um, efficiency and also growth, because nobody wants to just, well, most people don't want to just stagnant, right? You reach one level, you're like, you get used to it, you live up to your means, you want to go to the next level.
Well, that's not true. That might be true for you and me and people like us,
Fair.
but that's not true of most people. Listen, I've been working with lawyers since August 24th, 1999. That's the day that I reported for duty
It's a pretty
as
large
as a
data
small
set
law
then.
firm.
It's a pretty large
Sorry?
data set. That's a large data set. So
Yeah, I have a
I would
pretty large
argue
data
you
set.
have a statistically significant sample size that you're drawing your conclusions from.
And it is not accurate to say that most law firm owners have an inner drive for growth.
That's interesting.
Sadly, that's not true.
That's interesting.
It's just not.
Well,
Um,
do you think they
a
start?
study was done, and I wish I could remember the study, but a study was done, and people were tested. If you could make $100,000 a year, and all of your neighbors and friends made $75,000 a year, or you could make $150,000 a year, and all your friends and family and neighbors made $200,000 a year, most people chose that they'd earn less as long as they can make more than everyone around them. That's
Interesting.
how most people are wired, sad to say.
Hmm.
It's the rare person who doesn't measure themselves by everyone around them. That person who doesn't measure themselves by everyone around them has an innate drive for more. wanting what we want because we want it, as opposed to wanting what we want because we feel that we need it, to cite Dan Sullivan.
Right. Well, make freedom of time, freedom of relationships, freedom of money. Those are also the big themes there that you've also touched on. And it's interesting to hear that from your perspective, though, because most people you would think want to make more money, but if they're not making more than those that are closest to them, it might not be as satisfying. Is that what I'm hearing?
Like this. Do you mind if I ask a personal question? And if the answer is no, that's okay. We can edit this out.
You can ask away.
All right. What kind of car do you drive?
A Mercedes.
Okay. So you know that at this very moment, there is a group of law firm owners who are sitting in a, called a TGI Fridays, and they're all driving Hondas and Toyotas and Mazdas and cars like that.
Yes.
And across the street, there's another group of lawyers who are sitting at a, I don't know, we'll call it a Ruth Chris Steakhouse, and they're driving their Mercedes and their BMWs and, Lexuses and cars like that. And these two groups of lawyers are judging the shit out of each other,
Right.
right? And the people with the Hondas and the Toyotas and the Mazdas, and there's nothing wrong with a Honda, a Toyota, or a Mazda, and there's nothing wrong with what I say, the TGI Fridays. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's if that's what you really want, if that's what you really want, and they're living that way, and they've got stories, and they got reasons, and they've got explanations, and they got a whole master's thesis paper about why it's better to live the way they're living instead of the way you're living with the Mercedes. And before we judge them too harshly, the people with the Mercedes and the BMWs and the Lexuses who are at the Ruth Chris Steakhouse, across the street from that restaurant, there's another restaurant
Four
called
Seasons.
Fleming's,
Well,
and there are the G wagons, and there are the Porsches, and there are the Bentleys, and everyone with the Mercedes and the BMWs are, they got all their stories and reasons and explanations and self-limiting beliefs and rationalizations and rules for
mhm.
why it's better to live this way instead of the way those assholes live across the way at the Flemings.
Right.
Every tribe has its rules, and you violate the rules of the tribe at your peril. Now, some tribes will give you a pass if you have a good enough reason. If some have like a reason that it's okay to have that next level of financial success. But most tribes, the only way you get to leave that tribe, the only way you get to live better than the norm of that tribe is by breaking the rules of that tribe. And you do so at your peril. And you do so at your peril because you sat there, maybe you never participated in the poor mouthing of the person who left the tribe, but you've probably sat there with your mouth shut, listening to everyone poor mouth the person who got their act together and left the tribe.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen to you when you leave too. And so people want to because people are afraid of judgment.
Yes, they are.
Most law firm owners are running their business the way they're running their business because they're scared to death of being judged by other people.
Well, let's shift a little bit then. So you take this group in this tribe, they're all dealing with the emotional realities of running a law firm, running a family. Maybe they have some hobbies that they'd like to pursue, but they don't have time, and they're they're stigmatized by going to seek professional help. And there's this new initiative throughout the country and probably throughout the world on having the right mindset and you know um,
It's not a new thing, just so you know.
right. Okay. So it's not new, but
It's new
become
to the legal
it's
industry. I'll
become
grant you
more
that.
mainstream, right? So my wife is a doctor, and I know that there are support groups for doctors and there's support groups for lawyers, but most of the doctors and lawyers in those groups don't share with their peers what they're going through unless they're part of that group that goes. It's like because it's stigmatized, right? Because they don't want their clients to think that they're emotionally unstable or that they're struggling with the things. Um, there's a college.
It's all bullshit. Everything you're saying respectfully is bullshit. I'm not calling you on the bullshit. I'm saying what they're saying is bullshit. They're afraid of judgment. You could just say that. They're afraid of what other people will think.
Right. Well, you said it, so I don't have to. Right. So yes, we're afraid of being judged. We're always comparing ourselves to others. And that is actually what's inhibiting our growth or
Listen,
helping us rationalize why we don't wish to grow. Right.
listen. First off, let me make this clear so that you understand and your audience can everyone can relax. I got nothing to sell. I mean, I hope you buy my book on Amazon for $20 or whatever it's selling for, or buy it on Barnes and Noble. But I got nothing to sell. How to manage a small law firm. We currently manage over 500 of some of the fastest growing and most profitable and most fun to run law firms you can even imagine. We currently have a waiting list. We've had a waiting list for the better part of 3 years. So even if someone was trying to do business with me today, they're going to be on the waiting list for a little while before a spot opens up. So I'm not here trying to sell anything to anyone. I'm just here telling you how it is,
Right.
right? The things you have to do to have extraordinary results in the business of running a law firm, and the things you have to do to have extraordinary results in the business of running a medical firm, and the things you have to do to have extraordinary results in the business of running any business are exactly the opposite in most cases to what the average law firm owner is doing. The average law firm owner is getting average results. The majority of law firm owners are getting average results.
So let me
If you
ask you a
want to have
question then.
extraordinary results, you got to be ready to do things they don't do.
Right.
And they're going to judge you for it. And
So
they're going to criticize you for it. And they're going to talk shit about you for it.
right.
And God forbid it doesn't work the first time you try it. They're all going to sit around and say, I told you so.
Right. So it takes a special lawyer to succeed in this world with all that outside influence. And so you've interviewed a lot of these lawyers, you've spoken to them, you've heard their issues. Let me ask you this. What does a lawyer need to stop doing before the growth becomes possible?
You have to stop making excuses. You have to take all your excuses and shove them up your ass. That's what you got to do. Your excuses about why you're not growing your firm, your excuses about why you can't hire staff, your excuses about why you can't predict the revenues or predict the profitability, your excuses about why you can't take 30 consecutive days off with emergency access only, and while you're gone, all the 7 main parts of your law firm keep going and growing and going and growing for you, even while you're gone. Your excuses about why you have to keep taking clients you don't want to take, your excuses about why you keep putting up with staff you'd rather not work with, your excuses, your excuses, your excuses, your excuses. You got to stop making these excuses because these excuses are bullshit, truly bullshit, not lies, bullshit. To the point of my book, Truth, Lies, Mistakes Are Bullshit. They're bullshit. They're unexamined, untested, unverified beliefs. They're things that they repeat the same things they hear other broke, struggling law firm owners say. They agree with the stories they hear other people, promoting
Right.
because they don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation. And pretty soon they start believing that, well, this is how it is, and this is how it has to be, and it can't be another way, and this is how it is for everyone. No, it's not. I invited you before the show to come to one of our live events. I'm going to put you in a room with 2, 3, 4, 500 lawyers who they wouldn't think to live that way anymore. That's unimaginable to them to go back to living that way anymore. They used to think that way. They
What
used to believe those
what
things were
what do you
were
what
the way it has to be.
did you find a common denominator of those that stuck with the growth and stopped making the excuses?
Yes, they're inspired or they're desperate. And the problem is law firms are so freaking profitable. So profitable. The business model of a law firm, the business model of a law firm is so profitable and so simple that you can run it very, very badly and still make a very good living.
Hmm.
And so lawyers all over the country are running their law firms very, very badly, still making a really good living, and they think they're doing just fine.
Until
And that's the trap.
what?
But you get,
What? I mean, I can imagine a
okay,
few
I'll tell you.
things.
I'll tell you. These are the things. These are the triggers that get people to reach out to our organization. Okay, one, they get to the point where their kids are going to be going to college in about 2 to 3 years. If we're dealing with someone who's particularly smart, they're thinking 4 years ahead, and they realize, holy crap, I'm not going to be able to afford uh, the college tuition. I better get my shit together and make my law firm more profitable. Two, the parent whose kid is going to be going away to college in, again, 2, 3, 4 years, and they realize I only have 4 years, 3 years, 2 years left with this person, and then they're going to leave, and I'm not going to get to see him anymore. And I have a short window of opportunity to get my shit together so that I can really be fully present in their life. Three, we love working with women who want to get pregnant or have just gotten pregnant. And they're like, holy shit, I need to get my law firm to start working for me so that I can take a real maternity leave and and really be present in the life of this child that I'm about to have. Four, I love working with minorities. I love working with minorities because you know what? It's not politically correct, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of discrimination going on in the legal industry, in big law firms, and a lot of mid-sized law firms too. And they hit the glass ceiling, and they can't get out of it. They can't get further, and they're like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go start my own business and show them." And then they come to us with like a vengeance. They come to us with like a drive to really prove what they're capable of. Number five, people who go onto the mommy track. And I love people who are going on the mommy track. That you graduate from law school, two lawyers, A and B, they both graduate from college, same grades. They both go to the same law school. They graduate from law school, same grades. They go to work for the same mid-size or big law firm. And first year, they're taking on the same kind of cases and work. Second year, they're taking on the same kind of cases and work. Third, fourth, they get to about the fifth or sixth year taking on the same kind of cases and work and their peers, except she gets pregnant and now she takes a year to a year and a half off because she wants to invest in being a great mom, get off on the right foot with this new baby. And when she comes back, he has a year and a half to 2 years uh, more experience than she does, and she can't catch up. And she says, "Fuck this! I'm out of here. I'm gonna start my own law firm." And we help them crush it. And next thing you know, is 2, 3 years later, and they're making more money than they were making before. They're making more money than anyone in the firm is making before, and they got freedom because they learned how to run the business the right way. Uh,
So you
the
talked.
other
So well, you gave
those are people who are coming to us out of a sense of, let's call it, desperation.
so inspiration, desperation, and the drive that comes out of those two feelings. I thought I heard a third one in there. Maybe vengeance might have.
Well, that's part of inspiration.
Yeah. I can see that, but that's only going to give you so much steam for so long, right? The
That's true.
question is,
That is
does it give
exactly true.
you does it give
That
you
is
enough?
100% exactly true. It will only fuel you so long, and then it will burn you out. And so what we have to do is we have to use that initial internal going to get the rocket launched off the rocket pad, and then we got to put the processes, the policies, the systems, the procedures, the staff, the financial controls. We got to put the infrastructure in place to keep the thing going and growing and transform it from a law practice into a real business that works for you.
All right. So you talked early on about your practice on, or the lawyers that start their own practice and they think that AI is just going to do everything for them. I want to talk about that subject a little bit because there are more AI technologies out there that are going to enable somebody to do more. They can put the systems and process together. They can have the right hiring procedures, and then they can actually hire those people, right? Let's say they use AI as their teammate. They do all the things right, and then something that they didn't plan for, they go back to AI for the solution, that's when they really realize that they actually got to put some work in, right? So you lay the perfect groundwork, but then AI is not going to manage those people for you. You still have to manage the people. You have to manage the.
Let me stop you and just bust this fallacy right now, okay?
Yeah.
I love AI. We run an AI think tank. We run a national amazing AI think tank. Uh, we use AI pretty extensively in the operations of our business. We manage over 500 law firms. I have over 150 full-time employees. We use AI pretty extensively in our own business, and over and over and over again, at least as of today, May 2026, the advice that we give to all of our law firm owners is slow down, pump the brakes, and we have to talk about security. I firmly believe that in the next 2 to 3 years, there will be class actions. The new thing
Cybersecurity is what you mean,
now
right?
is going to be clients suing law firms that gave AI unfettered access to to their law firm data, and the clients are going to be just eviscerating the law firms, and lawyers are going to get in bar grievances against them.
Well, I know the Florida bar has a big drive right now to put rules and regulations, and then the federal government is trying to put rules on which AI gets approved for this widescreen. But, I started playing with AI about 3 years ago, and you're absolutely right. There are so many options today that it's easy to find the one that's not as regulated because you just think that they're all safe, right?
None of them are safe. None of them are safe. Not a single one of them are safe. None. Claude is not safe. GPT is not safe. None of them are safe. They're just not. Not as of today. Maybe a year from now, but not today. So you got to be really careful before you go and give it unfettered access. I mean, all of the amazing things that people want to use AI to do to make their law firm run better require AI to have access to all of your client files. You want it to do pleadings. You want it to respond to motions. You want it to draft things. You want it to analyze it. It has to have access, right? And once you give it access, you are screwed. You've now given the devil access to all your files. And guess what? The devil was smiling when you let him in. Now, I don't want to be like anti-AI. I love AI. But we've invested the last 2 years working with some of the top security experts in the world on security. So you got to be careful with security. That's number one. Number two is that even when you got the security measures in place, and let's suppose someone in your audience is smarter than me and they're way ahead of me, or maybe someone's listening to this, 6 months or a year from now, and someone's come out with, some security solution that everyone can agree on is a reasonable step. AI ain't gonna do your thinking for you. AI ain't gonna make your decisions for you. You do real estate, right?
Right.
Let's just role play for a second. I'll be a client, you be the lawyer, and you say, and what kind of real estate closing were you doing? Is it gonna be a commercial or residential? You tell me.
Residential. Let's say a
Great.
$2
So
million
what questions?
purchase. Wait, I'm the lawyer. You're the client.
You're the lawyer. I'm the client.
Yeah,
What questions do you have?
when is your transaction closing?
I don't know.
When did you sign the contract?
I'm not sure.
How much money did you put down?
Can you do some research and find that for me?
Have you completed your inspections?
I don't know. You find out.
Have you talked to your realtor yet about this issue?
No,
Why not?
because I'm hiring you as a lawyer to do all my thinking for me and make all of my decisions for me.
Well, I have to stop you there then because I can't do all the thinking for you. All I can do is help you spot the issues.
But I signed up for a webinar called AI will do all of your thinking for you, and you can just go and be a dodo head, and AI will just magically make all of your decisions for you. AI will decide what your core values are for you. AI will decide what your firm's brand promise is going to stand for. AI will decide what your financial, personal, and professional goals are. AI will decide what how you want to live your life, and then AI will create processes and policies and systems and procedures to make sure you live up to your brand promise that it will decide for you. And AI will set processes and systems and procedures for how the work's going to get done that support your core values as a human being that you expect AI. You got to you got to think, you got to decide what you want. And then AI is a beautiful tool to build it for you.
Right.
But the problem is, if no one ever taught you about the business or how to run a law firm, if no one ever taught you how to think through processes and policies and systems and procedures, if no one ever taught you this stuff, AI is just going to give you stuff that looks real good, but you're not going to know enough to know that it's garbage.
Yeah, that's really true. That's where the foundational education is helpful. Having a mentor, having a coach that you can turn to, not AI as your coach. I found a lot of mentors early on and coaches and group coaches, things like that. But a lot of it, like I said earlier, was trial and error. But the safety aspect of it and the confidentiality of the data that you're trusted with is real. I don't disagree with you at all. Um,
We have a policy in my organization, and we encourage all of our employees to use AI. We have some security protocols that they comply with for safety and security of confidential information, all that. But the rule is, use AI to do your job with our blessing. Just understand that if you turn in garbage and you say, that's what AI gave me, you're freaking fired on the spot. Right?
yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that you're giving me garbage because AI gave that to you.
I love it. That's like back in
Right?
the day, it reminds me of when the professor would call you out and say what your source is, and you told him Wikipedia. You're like, it's completely useless. And that
It's like, imagine having a lawyer and the lawyer works for you and the lawyer gives you something that's objectively crap. And the lawyer says, well, that's what the paralegal gave me. Well, then what the fuck do I need you for?
yeah,
Why don't I just hire the paralegal?
good
Right?
point.
But this is exactly what some lawyers are doing
It's happening a lot
is
right now.
they're abdicating, and they're going to wake up in 3 5 years and they're going to become a commodity, and AI will replace them, and it should replace them. And it's a beautiful thing that you may have noticed me smiling and grinning when you started talking about AI, because our members, the law firms that we manage, we love watching other lawyers give away all of their competitive advantages by abdicating to AI. Because what we're going to wind up with is we're going to wind up with a marketplace, I think, in about 3 to 5 years. I don't think it's going to take that long, where lawyers who exercise judgment and discernment and know how to use criteria are going to have an enormous competitive advantage. And all the lawyers who are just thinking, "Oh, great, AI can do my job for me, and I can go, make a few extra bucks and go home a little bit earlier." Those lawyers are going to basically they're putting themselves out of business.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's true. Well, the it's hard to take the conversation from here to a couple other places. So, I guess for those lawyers that are listening that are working that are using AI so much now, you tell them to pump the brakes. I mean, what does that look like since it's already so mainstream into their workflows or maybe their senior partners' workflows? I mean, do they just go back to the books?
Well, look, AI is amazing if you use it like a research assistant, right? Treat AI like a young, inexperienced research assistant who's really, really, really super smart, way smarter than you, but they've got no real world experience. You ever talk to one of these kids who they're like super, super smart? They're way smarter than you're ever going to be, but they have no real world experience, and they
Yeah.
say things that sound really intelligent, and they have a lot of information, and they're citing, philosophers, and they know everything that's going on in politics,
Yes.
but
Yes.
there's a naivety to what they say that's
Yes.
just obviously revealing a lack of real world experience.
hmm
Treat AI like that.
I think that's
It's a
really good advice.
brilliant assistant who knows more than you'll ever know about the world, except they haven't lived it yet. And AI, it's just, you know, you mentioned you're from South Florida. I don't know if you're a boater.
Not really. I like other people's
Okay, well,
boats.
this analogy won't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'll make it anyway in case any of your listeners are boaters.
Okay. Let's hear it.
You have most modern boats have autopilot, and you plug in the coordinates where you want to go, and you press navigate, and it calculates a route because it knows the depth requirements of the boat.
Okay.
It knows the height limitations of the boat, so it doesn't take you under a low bridge, and it knows how much water you need
Right.
to float, right? It doesn't happen very often. It happens very, very rarely. But I'd say probably 1 out of 100 times, my GPS will propose a route that I know my boat can't float in. And, it's all well and good until you're cruising along and you lose a mast under a bridge. It's all well and good until you're cruising along and you hit bottom
That's true. I can
because
I can make that analogy to a Tesla because I have one as well, and I've used the self-driving feature a lot. And that 1 out of 100 sounds about right with the full self-driving mode, where if I didn't otherwise know the roads and I wasn't paying attention, I might have let that car take me down that road. So I think that's a perfect analogy is relying on the autopilot feature of whatever it is you're doing, and it could be the AI engine that you're using. So that's really good advice.
so I love AI. I don't want to come off like I'm anti AI. I love AI. We're embracing AI. Like I said, we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars consulting with like security experts on AI. I just, I fear it, and I also profit from it. The
Right,
same thing that I'm describing.
right.
I fear what I see happening to the legal industry because lawyers are turning themselves into mindless commodities because of AI. I also profit from it greatly because the 500 law firms that I manage, they keep picking up more and more market share and more momentum as other lawyers stupefy themselves.
Mhm. Well, so when did you stop practicing law? How many years ago?
Uh, I went to go work at the Florida bar on August 24th, 1999. So I guess you would say I stopped practicing law on August 23rd, 1999.
Okay, so with 20, a quarter of a century ago, you stopped practicing law, but you're still talking to lawyers that practice law today regularly, and um, you hear firsthand all the struggles that they're dealing with and what the resources is that they're using. So I think this is still really credible coming from someone like yourself that's not running a law firm, but that's consulting and working with a ton of people who are every day.
We serve as this chief executive officer for over 500 law firms in every practice area you can imagine, all over the country, revenues ranging from 30 or $40 million all the way down to startups. I also own an equity share in a couple of law firms just for fun.
And what type of law did you practice last when you retired from the practice itself?
Truthfully, you didn't even have to be a lawyer to do it. Um, it was technically, you'd call it business law, asset protection, bankruptcy, strategy. I wasn't representing people in bankruptcy. I was helping people set up businesses to protect the assets. And people with businesses that were in trouble would come to see me, and we would do kind of some pre-bankruptcy, pre-asset protection, workout, turnaround type of things.
And since then, you've found your happiness in these other areas. So I want to wrap up this a little bit and ask you some more reflective questions like that. That I think anyone listening could benefit from. What's a what painful lesson did success teach you?
Uh, a painful lesson that success taught me. I mean, the reason why I'm hesitating is because there's so many. So I'm trying to like organize my thought. This is a completely unscripted interview, everyone. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Yes.
Um, One of the painful lessons that success taught me is that um, reality is going to break your heart. So, one of my core values as a person, which is also one of the core values of our business, in fact, it's the number one core value that is on our website, is pursuit of truth, where truth equals reality. All things that are true are only true because they're real. All things that are real are, by definition, true. If it's not real, it's not true. Yeah.
Yes.
And when you find the courage to look and find out what's really going on with your marketing, it is going to upset you when you find out what your marketing vendors and maybe your staff has been doing to your brand and to your message and with your money. And when you have the courage to really investigate how your firm is performing, it might break your heart when you find out how some of your employees have been treating your brand and treating your trust and treating your clients. And when you have the courage to really dig in and analyze the financials and see what's really going on with the business by objective financial data and not just how you feel about things,
Right.
it might really upset you to take a real close, courageous look at the truth. And that is these are very painful lessons that I had to learn. The antidote to it, by the way, is if you're always looking at the truth, if you're always looking at your business plan, if you're always looking at your key performance indicators for your staff, if you're always conducting client surveys and staff surveys to get data about what people are thinking and saying about your business, if you're always looking at your financial controls, if you're always doing this, then when you look at the truth, it doesn't upset you so much.
That's good stuff. All right. Another question. What's something that you had to personally let go of in order to become happier?
Uh, I had to let go of my need to be right. I had to let go of um, I had to let go of my like everyone, I want people to like me, right? Um, and I let my desire for people to like me turn me essentially into someone who was doing things to be liked instead of doing things so that I could like and respect myself.
Okay. So, one of the last questions I want to ask you, since we're talking about building a law firm, is what do you think's harder, building a law firm or a meaningful life?
Building a law firm is easy. Building a law firm is so simple. I can take anyone in your audience, and if they're willing to just follow a program, and I'm not saying do exactly what I'm telling you to do, because I'm not going to give you like an exact formula like you're a mindless, stupid robot. But if anyone will just follow a basic methodology that has been working for 25 years, everyone in this audience can have $1 million firm that allows you to be gone for 30 consecutive days with emergency access only, and gives you $200,000 to $300,000 a year of reliable, predictable income. And you can start with nothing, and you can be there in 24 to 36 months, easy. That's simple. Building a meaningful life, that requires that requires you to take a look at who you really are and what really matters to you and why it really matters to you, and have the courage and the conviction to express some core values and then live by them, even when, especially when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable to do so.
Well, some people may say that they could pull that off, but all that building a law firm stuff is really hard. Are you saying they just need to follow the instructions because the instructions are there?
I listen. This is going to really upset some people in your audience, and I'm sorry. It's going to break their heart. It's going to piss them off. It's going to disappoint them greatly, because a lot of lawyers, they've made a lot of stories. they've enrolled a lot of their friends and family in the same bullshit story about how hard it is to build a successful law firm, right? It's not. Law firms are very simple businesses to run. They're simple businesses to run. Compare the challenges of running a law firm to the challenges of running a restaurant, to the challenges of running a moving company, to the challenges of running a manufacturing facility, to the challenges of running an HVAC company, to the challenges of running any of those kinds of businesses. Law firms are easier businesses to run than all of those kinds of businesses. The margins of a law firm are significantly higher than in any of those other kinds of businesses. The working capital requirements to start and run a law firm and keep it going are significantly lower than in any of those other kinds of businesses. And here's the part that lawyers really hate to hear. The risks of running your law firm, the risks associated with running a law firm, are significantly lower than the risks of running any of those other kinds of businesses. And meanwhile, lawyers are running around saying, oh, it's so hard, it's so hard. It's not so hard. The problem is, if you never took a course in your life on marketing, if you never took a course in your life on sales, if you never took a course in your life on how to hire, train, manage, and lead employees, if you never took a course in your life on how to document processes and systems and policies and procedures, if you never took a course on your life on how to plan for physical plant of a business, if you never took a course in your life on financial controls, and you find it difficult to run a business that requires you to understand marketing and sales and people and production and physical plant and financial controls, it's like me saying it's hard to fly an airplane. You fly an airplane?
No.
You ever look in the cockpit of an airplane? Like when you go
Yeah.
like when you
Overwhelming.
fly, you say, "Hey, can I look at the cockpit and take a picture?" And they let you in there, and you look at all those knobs and buttons and switches and dials, and it's like completely overwhelming.
Mhm.
You ever had that experience?
Oh yeah. Every time I look in a cockpit.
Well, but it's not complicated for the pilots. What do you think? They're geniuses and they're 10 times smarter than us? No,
Right.
they learned how to fly an airplane, and that's why they can fly an airplane.
Right.
But imagine someone who doesn't bother to take any courses on how to fly an airplane, and they keep crashing, and they keep telling you, "Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard." It's not so hard. You just didn't learn anything about the business of how to manage a small law firm, and you flatter yourself because you learned a little teeny bit through the school of hard knocks over the last 10 years, banging your head against a wall. It didn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be that hard. You can learn about it and get the help you need to make your business work for you. You don't have to keep struggling and you don't have to keep suffering. What do you say to someone who says, I can handle my real estate transaction myself?
That's a wonderful question. I might tell them that they can certainly do that, but there may come a time where they get stuck and they won't have anyone to turn to, or they can do it until they can. I use the analogy of you don't need insurance until you need it. Nobody wants to pay for it. Um, in some scenarios, a lawyer is required, but
May I offer a different answer that I think will
sure,
help you make more money?
yeah,
Person comes to you and says, hey, why do I need to hire you, pay you all this money to handle my real estate transaction? Question is, excuse me, sir, or ma'am, or person, what do you do for a living? Let's suppose they say they're a doctor, right? Are you a good doctor? Yeah. You make a lot of money as a doctor? Yeah. Okay. Why would you want to learn how to do this? It's not the highest and best use of your time to learn how to do this. You probably could figure out how to do it. Here's read this book, take this course, watch this video, look at this free report, listen to this webinar. I can show you how to do this yourself, but is it really the highest and best use of your time to do it? Number one. Number two, are you going to enjoy it or are you going to hate doing it? And number three, do you really want to take the risk that you're not going to make any mistakes? And you just show them how it's so much smarter and so much more cost effective to hire a professional who knows what they're doing so they can get it done faster. Look, anyone can learn how to run the business of a law firm. It's not that complicated.
right. So
The question is, do you want to spend the next 10 years of your life trying to learn how to run the business of a law firm, or do you want to spend the next 10 years of your life running a multi-million-dollar law firm and getting all the benefits of it?
Right. Well, a lot of lawyers think that the answer is more clients, more revenue, more hours, more growth, but they don't think of all that it takes to be success in those areas. And I think today's conversation with you, Arjan, really challenges the entire mindset of a lot of the people that I talk to regularly. So I really appreciate having you on and sharing your insight. You're
The
clearly
biggest
very,
challenge
very passionate
is
about
that
these things.
the biggest challenge is that you mentioned earlier that you had interviewed a functional medicine doctor on an earlier podcast.
Yes.
I am a huge believer in functional medicine doctors. I have an amazing functional medicine doctor. I refer so many people to my functional medicine doctor. But you know what? I didn't know what I didn't know that I didn't know about the difference between working with a functional medicine doctor and a regular doctor. And the problem is, until you understand what is actually possible, you settle for what you know. And that's the problem. That's why lawyers get and stay stuck.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Very powerful. Arjan, I want to thank you for coming on Beyond the Briefcase. We'll definitely stay in touch, talk some more. And thank you, everybody who listened to this episode.